What's up, everybody? Welcome into another Big Men on Campus college football preview video. Today, we're taking a look at another Week 10 matchup coming up here. We'll break it down for you in just a second. Joe Duffy returns here with me. We just did a game between Memphis, SMU, big matchup down in the American. Now we head out to the Pac-12, Joe, and take a look at the upstart Oregon Ducks. They head on the road to take on the Southern Cal Trojans down at LA Memorial Coliseum. And, Joe, this is a game that I've already bet. Okay, I'm going to say that now. I've already bet it. I'm excited for it. Oregon, coming into this game, obviously they got big plans. The goal is to now get to the college football playoff, and it's going to be tough, but you got to keep taking care of business here. They open up as a 4.5-point favorite. Total is 61. Oregon off a big win against Washington State University, a game that they really needed a late charge in. Wazoo played well, as I'm sure a lot of us thought they would. Gordon and Leach had no issue throwing the ball, and they scored a touchdown late. But, Joe, did anyone really have any belief that Washington State would stop Oregon on that final drive? I mean, it just seemed destined for them to lose, and Oregon was able to find a way. I'll tell you right now, Herbert looked terrific. And how about C.J. Verdell? A huge game for him. 257 on the ground. He had 3 touchdowns, 11 yards a carry. I'll tell you this. I watched the Colorado USC game on Friday night, and boy, man, does USC have some injuries. They are beaten up and battered on both sides of the football, particularly defensively. And Joe, listen to this. You have a defensive lineman, Drake Jackson. He's out. A linebacker, a safety, Christian Rector, another defensive lineman. Most of your linebackers are out. It's wild. They are just beaten up right now. I'll tell you this, though. The most important thing about USC, Michael Pittman's in there. They seem like they're getting great quarterback play from Keelan Slovis. I'll be honest, Joe. I bet the over 61. What do you think here?
Yeah, well, Jeff, the injury reports do say that Chris Steele and you mentioned Christian Rector, they should be back on the field for USC. So USC should be a little healthier, and I kind of like the baptism by fire. The truth is, a lot of people, even myself included, have had our doubts about Helton, but he's really had a team that's been moderately successful with, as you said, a team that's just been ravaged by injuries. The kid Slovis is very talented for USC, and with the game on the line, he did show, some fortitude, pulling that game out in the fourth quarter, had 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns. Got an angle about fading a team off of the win, but 2 straight horrible defensive efforts going against those teams is 114, 68, and 3, as Oregon's allowed 66 points in the last 2 games. And in fact, looked it up, since 1980, only 37 times has the team given up at least 62 points over the last 2 games combined, but still allow less than 16 points per game for the year. And said defenses that are headed in the opposite direction are a fade of 24, 11, and 2. So that would obviously favor USC. These are 2 very good sack teams indeed. And I think, USC can at least maybe slow down Oregon a little bit. But I do like the fact that, USC, like, it's a little bit of baptism by fire on defense. Looks like their defense will be a little bit healthier coming into this game. And, like I said, Oregon, all of a sudden, maybe their defense has lost a little bit of luster. Of course, going against high-tempo team like Washington State will have something to do with it. But as I said, when you have a team that is off of 2 horrible a good defensive team that's off of 2 horrible defensive efforts, traditionally, they've been a pretty good go again. So I do think that USC might actually pull off the upset, but they will get the cover.
You look at the last 2 games for Oregon, you mentioned a little bit of defensive luster lost. They've given up 695 passing yards over the last 2 games. Look for Slovis to attack them vertically. He's really good throwing the football. It looks, as I said, Oregon, it just seems like they're losing a little bit of defensive focus. They're getting into these shootout-type games. And this is another one where you expect another shootout. I know some guys probably will come back for USC, but this team has shown all year they're not really great defensively. I think this is bombs away. The fact that it's in the 60s, low 60s, is odd to me. I think it's a 35-31 type of game, 35-28, something like that. I think we'll find this one getting over the posted total. I'm going to go with over. Joe, you're going to go with taking the short home dog price here and going with USC. You believe in Helton that much?
I do think that if anything, he's kind of shown that maybe he's a little bit better coach than some people think. And, you mentioned with Slovis, my general rule of thumb is the freshman quarterbacks play a little bit better at home, and they play a little bit better as the year goes on. And like I said, he had his ups and downs against Colorado with the game on the line. He looked a little more like a veteran. So I do think he's an enormously talented quarterback that seems to be getting a little bit better. So, yeah, I do think that USC manages to pull this one out.
Keep in mind, USC solid home wins this year. Fresno State, Stanford, they've come on. And then obviously Utah, a really solid win again in week 4, which, they were bombs away in that game. I'm going to go over, Joe. Any thoughts on the total? Any thoughts on the over?
I don't know. Everything you said does make sense. As we said, that Oregon's defense does seem to be maybe trending in the wrong direction. So that's certainly very good for the over. And I agree with you. There's probably going to be it's going to be an up-tempo game. And as I said, I think USC, their offense has a little bit of an upside with a very talented quarterback that does seem to be getting better. So I would probably agree with you.
Sounds good, Joe. Look forward to it. Joe Duffy going with the USC Trojans, 4.5-point underdogs here at home on Saturday. Joe, always fun doing videos with you. Why don't you give us another quick plug for all Shirt Insiders? I know you're doing a great job over there.
Yeah, and Jeff, it's probably it's not one of my best years overall, but for big plays, when I do have a game of the year, total of the year, it's been as good of a year as I've ever had. And we got some in both college football and NFL this weekend, Thursday night in both college and NFL totals of the year. And then also on Saturday, get a huge total on a side that is, well, I'll give everybody a hint. It's a big letdown angle that's 90% in the history of my database. All that and more at offshoreinsiders.com.
Go check out Joe. Having a great season over there. Joe, thanks for coming on. We'll see you in week 11.
All right. Well, thank you, Jeff.